Y'all listen, there's somebody doing yard work. I've waited for like 2 hours to film. I can't wait any longer. It's been too many weeks since I posted a video and I just missed you guys. I wanted to get into a sensitive topic to many, especially myself, which is how to not cheat on vacation. I recently took my sister, she graduated high school, and we went on a sister's trip and with two of her best friends to Florida, and it was such a fun vacation. And it's been on the calendar since before I started Carnivore. I knew that I was gonna be emotional about it going in because I was traveling with people who were not on Carnivore. Whenever I'm on vacation with my family, most of my family, except for my sisters, do the Carnivore diet, and so it's really easy to, you know, be brothers in arms whenever you are suffering together. But I was surrounded by teenage girls who were not caring about meat. I was not worried about myself. I just knew that it was gonna be like an active effort to not give up. And I didn't. I did not cheat on Carnivore while I was in Florida, which I'm super proud of, because it was around this time last year that I cheated for my husband's birthday for the first time, and I threw myself into a season of just like binge eating and gaining back half the weight I had lost on Carnivore. So the nightmares were kind of like creeping into my brain, and I was like, I can't do this again. I'm staying strong. And so today's video is about how to not cheat on Carnivore and the tips that helped me survive a week of vacation, basically. So where we went in Florida is where my family and I grew up going every year, and I've talked in past videos about how emotional ties to eating, it's still something I struggle with, and I wish I didn't. I'm just being honest and I'm being human about it. Carnivore and eating this way, there are things you can do that contribute to your success and help you avoid the emotional side of it, especially if you're getting the proper portions of what you're supposed to be having for your body composition. So there's ways to avoid like the depths of despair about this, but there's also just like mentally, I knew that I was going somewhere that I've grown up going my whole life, and I have restaurants there and traditions that we have there. I felt like at the time I wasn't gonna be able to participate in them, but the biggest thing, the biggest tip I would give, or the thing I took away the most from this trip, was food does not equal participating, and I was still able to enjoy such an amazing trip with my sisters and friends, and I didn't feel like I was missing out. And kind of like extricating the feeling that you're involved or missing out with food is such a turning point, I think, in your weight loss journey, when you realize that life is so much more than food. On a daily basis, I know that, but going somewhere where it was always seen as like a special treat or just connected to childhood traditions, I was convinced it was gonna be harder than it was. For instance, there's a restaurant we go to called La Crema in Rosemary Beach. It's delicious, and it's basically all dessert. And I knew going in that there was nothing I was going to be able to get there, and I think that's another kind of key to success, is like, and we'll get into that in a second, but knowing the menus of the places you're going to eat out at. Earlier in the year, I'd read a book by James Clear, Atomic Habits. It's a great book, and he talks about embodying the type of person that you want to be, and he gives the example of a smoker who's trying to quit smoking, and they might say, oh, I'm trying to quit smoking, versus I don't smoke, I'm not a smoker. And even the small change in verbiage can really change your mentality and your will to kind of overcome temptation. During the week, I was thinking, okay, sorry y'all, there's like so much construction going on outside my window. I feel like I'm spazzing out. For Carnivore to truly be a lifestyle, it has to be more than what you're putting in your mouth. And I knew in February, when I started this journey again, I wanted to transform the type of person I was, not just the diet I had, but the lifestyle I had. And so one of the challenges I gave myself going into this week in Florida was, I want to have a schedule and complete tasks that a healthy person would complete, because I'm a healthy person. And as someone who's been overweight their whole life and a very unhealthy person, it's hard to speak that over myself because I don't feel like it's true. But sometimes I forget that I'm doing this. You know what I'm saying? Like sometimes I forget I've lost 80 pounds from my starting weight back in 2024. I forget that I'm not the same, and I have imposter syndrome almost because I'm still overweight, but I'm the healthiest I have been in years, and there's nothing wrong with waking up and saying I'm healthy, so I have to do my healthy person schedule. And so there were mornings where we would wake up early. I tried to wake up early most mornings by 7:30, and I say that's early. I have a newborn at home, so like this morning I've been up since 5, but I'd wake up, I would make myself breakfast at home. I'd make eggs and bacon, have lots of water, lots of electrolytes, and then my sister and I went on like a 3-mile walk. We kind of just did what my parents' schedule usually is. They weren't with us, but they always start their day off with exercise, and I felt so good. I felt like I had accomplished so much before 9 o'clock in the morning. And then we just had an active day. We'd go to the beach, we'd go swimming, we were outside, I was reading books, I wasn't just on my phone or, you know, watching YouTube. Like, I was living the healthiest lifestyle as if I were a healthy person. Your success on your vacation, whatever kind of vacation you're gonna have, I want you to picture the like classic healthy person vacation, but that you'd still enjoy. So whether it's being outside more or choosing water instead of soda or tea instead of coffee or whatever variation of it, and you live their life that week. And that's something that like he talks a lot about in Atomic Habits. Like, you are tricking your brain into believing and behaving in the manner that you're trying to achieve. And it sounds so silly to say it out loud, but it really made a difference, because all week I was thinking, what would a healthy person order here? What would a healthy person do today? Would a healthy person put on, you know, tennis shoes because they're about to go for a walk and like get dressed for a walk? Or would they put on like slippers and stay inside? Like, every little decision I was making, I was trying to think, what would the healthiest version of Allie do? And then you feel indebted to, you know, the schedule you're building. So that's the first tip, is I'd say envision the healthiest version of this vacation that still feels like a vacation, and then, you know, pursue that healthy lifestyle, because carnivore is a lifestyle. It's more than just what you're putting in your mouth. You are transforming through and through the carnivore diet. The second tip I'd say is eat at home as much as possible. And I know it's vacation. I know part of vacation is treating yourself and not cooking and going out, especially if it's a place that you frequent. But the day that we got there, we went straight to the grocery store, and I basically bought my own groceries because I knew that most of the girls in the house were not going to end up eating what I was eating. And so I made sure to get eggs and sausage and bacon, electrolytes. I got different types of like meat. We were only there for 4 days, and so I knew that we had already decided when we were going to go out to eat, which I'll touch on in a second. But I made sure that my fridge was stocked with food that was clean and good for me, and it was almost like my schedule wasn't any different. Like, this is stuff I would have been cooking at home, and I didn't really veer from that. Now, I will say a big part of also being successful is knowing that you're inevitably going to go out to eat, and you have to decide, are you going to participate in that and get something that accommodates carnivore, or are you going to eat before you go and just go for the social company? And I did both. I would usually eat before we go out to eat at home, and when I say that, I'd eat like maybe 2 hours before we go to dinner, and then I was like maybe a little bit hungry, but I wasn't like so hungry that I was like gonna be tempted by the menu. And I will say, for me, the easiest places to go on carnivore is either gonna be a steakhouse or like somewhere you could get steak, or a Mexican restaurant, because I'll get the steak fajitas. I will say, like, the month of May, we had a lot of events, a lot of parties, a lot of eating out, and I think I only lost like 6 pounds in the month of May. I was in like a major stall for most of the month, and a big contributing factor to that was, as clean as you want to eat and are trying to eat out, you still don't know what they're cooking your food in, if there's hidden spices, and overall you're never going to be as in control of what you're eating if you're not making it yourself. And so we went to Mexican restaurants I think twice. I got steak fajitas at both, but I also had queso. We would like get coffee, and I've kind of perfected my carnivore coffee order. Carnivore coffee is an oxymoron because coffee is not carnivore. So this is, when I say it, it's just a very, very low carb coffee. So yes, planning your meals in advance, stocking up on groceries, but then also not being caught off guard by the restaurant. And you know what? I'm just gonna say it. Worst case scenario, you end up at a restaurant that you can't have anything. Don't eat. Sorry, don't eat. If you can't get anything, you're there for the company. Get yourself some water. You're gonna be okay. Because this goes back to eat before. So even if you want to participate, eat before, even if it's like a little snack, so that you're not starving. Don't put yourself in a situation of desperation and starvation, which if you're truly on carnivore, you know that you could probably go the whole day without eating and be okay. Not that you should, I'm just saying, you know that you can last longer than you could before carnivore. Which leads me into my next piece of advice. Participate when you can. And I say that with having a strict amount of accountability on yourself and knowing your expectations going in. I ended up getting the chocolate keto peanut butter cups. I went back and forth on this. I ended up buying them. They did make me sick, if you must know. And they also gave me a severe sugar craving, okay? So I would encourage you not to make this a regular part of your diet, okay? I knew that I was gonna be surrounded by people who were eating whatever they wanted. I wanted to feel like I was participating without giving into something that was much more unhealthy for me. It's like an 8-pack of the Atkins or keto peanut butter cups. I can't remember what the brand is. Like when we go to the beach, I'd put one in my cooler. When we would be going to like a dessert place, I ate one before we went, or you know, I guess you could eat one there if they don't care. But like either way, participate when you can. I know that I can get coffee. I know that I can get Mexican food. I can bring my pork rinds or my pork skins and eat queso. You know, like none of these things, I didn't come back from vacation and lose weight, but I did come back from vacation the same. That is a win in my book. Compared to last year, I would have come back from vacation and probably gained 10 pounds. That would have been a very normal experience for me going on vacation. I would not have restricted myself at all. And so you have to know yourself and know your willpower. And my willpower is personally stronger if I participate where I can without cheating, even though these are not things that I would necessarily be consuming at home. And that's what vacation looks like for me right now. The last thing is having accountability. I'm just gonna be really honest with you guys. It is hard to be told not to have something by people who are eating junk food. When I'm being told and encouraged by my parents, it's totally different because they're on carnivore. We're kind of in this together. When my sisters are shoveling cosmic brownies in their mouth and they're like, don't cheat, it is really hard to not get offended and be like, who are you to tell me not to cheat when you're eating trash? No offense. That's just totally pride. Like that's just, it doesn't matter who's telling you. They're telling you what you asked them to tell you and you're gonna thank them. I'm so thankful I didn't cheat on carnivore because I can tell you right now, it's a week later, I would be spiraling. I would be cheating here and there. I would start making little allowances here and there, and in a month I would be off carnivore. I asked my sisters before we went to keep me accountable. They know what I can and can't have. And there was one night I texted my dad straight up. I was like, I'm struggling. Like I really want to get a dessert. And he was like, no, don't do it. It's not worth it. And I ended up texting him. I was like, I'm gonna put this in the video because I just know myself. I know the kind of accountability I need. I really do pray and ask God in that moment. This sounds so dramatic. Like I really do pray in that moment and ask him for like a different level of self-control. And the first thing I typically do in those moments when I'm battling in my mind if I'm gonna cheat is I text my dad, because that's my true self reaching out. You know, like in the moment, my fleshly self, like the side of me that just wants to eat whatever, it doesn't want to text my dad. It wants to eat the fondue. But my true self wants to be healthy and wants to change my life. And so I text my dad anytime I'm struggling. I'm like looking at Kate and Eden and I'm like, y'all, they see the look in my eye and they're like, drink your water. And I did get a coffee that night and it helps. Like I said, participate where you can in the realm of your food plan. If you're not on carnivore and you're watching this and you're just trying not to spiral off on your vacation, you just have to set these boundaries for yourself. Ask someone to hold you accountable. It's so important to me that I change my mentality about incorporating carnivore into every facet of my life. There are times where I want it to just be kind of boxed in and separate from everything and not a big deal, but it is a big deal because at the end of the day, it's changing a lifetime of poor eating habits and poor decisions. It's emotional. It still is emotional to me. Maybe it's not to you. I'm trying to change my whole life. It's not just what I'm putting in my mouth. I am changing who I am inherently as a healthy person. I didn't feel like I lost out on this vacation. I felt like I made myself proud. You know, I know that I'd be sitting here today regretting the decision to cheat if I had, because in the moment it's so worth it, and later you're like, I gave up all this for a cookie. I gave up all this for, you know, a sandwich. So if you're about to go on vacation, you absolutely can do it. I want you to set your standards ahead of time, find some accountability, plan your meals out. Do not let anybody surprise you with where you're gonna go. Make sure you stock up your fridge. And I want you to remember that your life and your progress is so much more than the vacation you're about to go on. No one says this has to be forever, but you can still have an incredible time and treat yourself in ways that aren't related to food. Life is so much more than food, and you can enjoy and still experience so much more outside of food. This is just what worked for me. I'm not saying that this is like the best professional way to do it. I'm just saying this worked for me. I had an amazing time and I didn't cheat, and that's what I'm walking away with. And I'm feeling really positive about the summer. I'm really looking forward to being active while I'm off work, spending time with my family and recharging for the new school year. I did get a new position this year, which I'm so excited about, and some of you may have seen my YouTube shorts the last few days. I'm moving into an art position, which I'm literally is a dream, and so I'll be posting a lot of stuff about that as well here and on TikTok. So if you start to see some stuff that's not carnivore, don't panic. I'm not quitting carnivore. You will still get your regular weekly carnivore content, but there's going to be some classroom stuff and teaching stuff probably mixed in there as well, because it's a huge passion of mine and I'm so excited. So I hope you guys have a great week. If any of you are planning a vacation, let me know. I want to know where you're going, if you're comfortable sharing that with me, and what you plan to do. And if you have tips that would really benefit others, please share them if I didn't touch on them. I love reading the comments. I read every single comment. I try to respond to every single comment, and I know that people go to the comments looking for help too. So you guys are doing everyone a favor when you share your knowledge and wisdom, and it's invaluable. So I hope you guys have a great week, and I will see you guys next Thursday.